The number one reason why your marketing is not working is because you failed to answer the question of why people should listen to you. So in this video here, I'm going to give you my entire framework on how to create your origin story, because it's your origin story which is going to be the cornerstone of being able to answer in your prospect's mind of why they should listen to you. So what you're going to see is an actual replay of a training I did to my 25K Inner Circle Mastermind. And the good news is you don't have to pay for it because it's yours here for free.
How to match the energy in the room. And the most important thing when you're speaking to a room is knowing who you're going to speak to. The number one mistake that all speakers make is they first try to figure out what should I talk about instead of figuring out who am I speaking to. And so that is your primary question. Who am I speaking to? And today we're going to talk about storytelling mastery. How many of you are excited about learning how to storytell? Yeah, very cool. Now, how many of you have maybe a story that says, I don't think I could ever be a great storyteller? Anyone had that before? Or okay, that's not bad. How many of you realize that storytelling is innate? You're born with it, and if you don't have this, if you're not born with that bad luck, you're done for the rest of your life. Anyone has that story there? Okay, good. So you guys get that this is a skill that you can learn, that you can master, but more importantly, show of hands if you feel like this is worth mastering. Yeah, 100%. Why? Why? Type in the chat screen. Why do you feel like this is worth mastering? By the way, this is our biggest six-figure speaker event to date. This is only done in point one, 25K mastermind, and our guests are here to enjoy this incredible experience. So first of all, give it up for our biggest. You cannot buy a ticket to be here. So our guests, big warm welcome to you. You're here because you're here for a reason, and you've been invited here for a reason, whether you came from Kaylee or Sarah or Masters, or maybe you paid in full for Performance One. Like this, you cannot find anywhere online to buy a ticket to be here. The only place you can be here is through our Inner Circle Point One, which is a minimum 25K investment. So welcome. Please take this, please make the most of this whole day. I would, if I were you. I mean, I wouldn't leave at lunchtime, wouldn't leave at any time, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that you get to come here as a guest. And so, TK, what do we have in the chat screen?
Mate, when it comes to storytelling, we've got some things in chat. It says engage in connection, connect and communicate. So there's a big theme of connection coming through. As I scroll on down, we've got to get across effective message. I saw from Jane Stanford, humans are hardwired to connect through stories. Yes, they are indeed. We got some thank yous. We've got some more connections. We've got build trust. And I'm going to finish with Razwana's comment of influence.
Very cool. Very cool. You know, as I was thinking about today is going to be as much learning as much as doing. And so we're going to have some cool breakouts. We're going to do some cool exercises. And so I encourage you guys to get out of your own way and just to start to implement everything that we do today. You know, I was thinking, like, you guys know I came from an optometry background and, you know, very scientific background. And this is really fascinating. It's really fascinating concept. Now, how many of you understand what an atom is? Like, just fundamentally, not like, you know, you put awareness there. An atom is made of a neutron, which is like a proton and neutron in the center, and it's got an electron surrounding it and it circulates, right? Is it making sense of it? That's an atom. And a molecule is a collection of atoms stuck together. And when you look at an atom, it is 99.9999999999997% space. You guys get that? It's 99.999. And then you've got a string of molecules together, or a table, or a piece of paper, or a pen. Like that's 99.99999999997% space, which is really fascinating. From a molecular point of view, it's mostly space. Now, when you zoom out and look at the universe, you got Earth, the moon, the sun, the stars, everything else. That's also 99.9999999% space. It's a really interesting concept. So we are actually living in space, and we are actually mostly made of nothing. But yet, why do we have physical, like, why can we feel things? Why can we see things? Why can I like hold a piece of paper, or hold a pen, or hold this and tear it, and like there's this physical thing I can feel? Or why, when I'm standing on this ground, I'm being held up by the earth? Because motion of the electrons creates a physical space that we're around right now. And so motion creates results. And so the only thing I ask today is just to take action, because the worst thing you can do is not stay in motion, and then you'll be dead space. Who's following this right now? Yeah. So quick opening story, since it's storytelling mastery. I remember the first time I was exposed to stories was 8 years ago, or even 10 years ago, when I started my whole personal development journey. So I started personal development about 10 years ago, and then it took me about 2 years to eventually decide to become a coach. But I remember going to my very first Tony Robbins event, and Scott Harris was one of my first coaches too, and they would just teach their seminar and they'll break out in this story, and I remember being mesmerized. How many of you guys remember being mesmerized by a story? You're stuck in a trance, and I was thinking to myself, wow, wouldn't it be great to learn that skill? Initially, I thought I could never learn that skill. It wasn't me, and I could never be that kind of person. But once I learned that it was a learnable skill, that's when I started to make a focus and commitment to storytelling. And to really exemplify what storytelling is about, I believe that you need to understand how the game of life works. And I learned this from one of my early mentors, Scott Harris. This is how the game of life works. Who'd like to know how the game of life works? Cool. So we all start out on level 0. And on level 0, you're an infant, you're a baby, you have no powers, you have to be protected and looked after by someone else. But as you grow older, you get a little bit of powers. And on level 0, there are some enemies. There are some bad guys, there are some struggles, there are some obstacles that you have to overcome. And once you overcome them, you beat the enemy, you beat the bad guy, you overcome the struggle, you get to the end, you get the points, the power, the pot of gold, and you advance to level 1. Now on level 1, you're a little bit bigger, you're a little bit stronger because you beat the enemies and there's challenges from level 0. And now you've got the strength to deal with the problems on level 1. And on level 1, there are a little bit bigger problems, bigger enemy, bigger obstacle, bigger hurdle to overcome. At the end, you beat them, you get the powers, get the pot of gold, get the points, and you advance to level 2. And then on level 2, you're a bit bigger, you're a bit stronger. Maybe you can fight a little bit. You've got some skills that you acquire from level 1, but on level 2, there's a bigger problem, bigger hurdle, bigger obstacle. You beat them, you get to the end, you get to the points, the power, the pot of gold, and you advance to level 3. And on level 3, now you're strong. Now maybe you can jump a bit higher. Now maybe you can shoot something from your hand. And on level 3, there's going to be a bigger enemy, a bigger obstacle, a bigger hurdle, a bigger struggle. But you have the ability to fight it and beat it because you got the powers from level 2. And eventually you beat it, you get the points, you get the powers, you get the pot of gold, and then you advance to level 4. And this game keeps on going and going and going and going. So question for you, when does the game end? Have a think about it. It doesn't. It only ends when you decide to stop playing. Now, how many of you know of someone who's just checked out and decided to stop playing the game? Who knows of someone like that? 100%. How many of someone who just complains about problem after problem after problem without realizing that that's the whole game of life? Now, in life, you cannot be exposed to a problem that you are not worthy of dealing with. Because it's impossible for you to be on level 10 and have a level 10 problem if you didn't overcome level 9 to be there in the first place. A person on level 2 will not get a level 10 problem in their life if they weren't really actually on level 10. Who's following this? It's just their perception of that problem there, thinks I can't handle it, but they can. It's also impossible for you to have an opportunity in your life if you can't handle it. And sometimes we see opportunities as problems when in fact they're actually opportunities staring us in the face. It is impossible for you not to be able to handle anything that's thrown your way. So why am I sharing this with you? Because I had an experience that made me want to vomit. And this only happened a couple of months ago. And I mean like physically want to vomit because I saw it as a massive problem in my life without realizing it was a huge opportunity. Who's following this right now? Right. And this experience happened late last year when I was at Russell Brunson's Inner Circle. And at his Inner Circle meeting, there was a very small room. It was only about 20 of us in the room. And you go there and each person goes up on stage and they present something valuable that's working well in their business right now. So the whole room gets some benefit. And then at the end of that presentation, you ask the room, what's my biggest problem right now, and how can I get help on this problem that I have right now? And so then the room starts helping you out. And on that particular day, this is in October last year, my biggest problem was, how do I get more people to show up to our masterclasses that we run? Who's done one of my masterclasses before? Like, that was my biggest problem. And the whole conversation went on this weird tangent. Myron Golden was in the room, Russell was sitting in the room, Eileen White was in the room, and these guys all have like 100K, 250K, 500K, $1 million offers. And I never asked for any of that, but they went on this weird tangent. They said, Richmond, what's your essential model? What's your business model? I said, hey, this is our business model. We do like a challenge or a masterclass, then it goes into our Underdog Academy, and then from that, it goes into point one, which is 25K. And that's it. It's like, masterclass challenge into like our 1K offer into our 25K point one. And that's kind of it. And they're like, oh, that's an interesting extension model. I'm like, yeah. And then Myron says, Richmond, where's your 100K offer? And I'm like, why am I being asked this question for? I just want to learn how to improve my webinar show-up rates. And the whole room started saying, yeah, Richmond, how come you don't have a 100K offer? I'm like, what? This model's working. We made $5 million last year just from this model. Can you just help me with my webinar show-up rates? And they could sense that I was choking. And I was thinking, 100, how can I even charge 100K? That's beyond my entire existence. That's beyond my whole awareness. I couldn't even fathom it. And I'm like, why are they trying to coach me on this? This is ridiculous. And I'm sitting there, I'm standing on stage and I was like, well, the reason why I don't have one is I didn't think I'm worthy of a 100K offer. I was so honest and blunt about it. I'm like, this is going crazy. And now I'm on stage. I'm so vulnerable. I feel like I'm naked. And then they're just basically drilling into me that I need a 100K offer. And the reason why they said that, because what I presented on stage was a concept of a tiny challenge with a shadow seat. So who's heard me do a tiny challenge? And I said, you can sit in there, sit in the room and watch me do a tiny challenge. If you sat in there and you see, that's a new concept. It's the way to scale one-on-one coaching. And so if you sat in a room with me doing a tiny challenge and as a shadow seat, it's a way to scale one-on-one coaching, because at the end you present an offer, but you don't just present the offer to that one person doing a tiny challenge, you present the offer to the whole room. And that was so blown away. They thought I was a genius, and they thought, wow, you're teaching something that no one has ever taught before. You are so smart and you don't have a 100K offer. There are people dumber than you who have a 100K offer. That's basically what they were saying. And long story short, I got off on stage and I just couldn't stop thinking about it, but I was never going to create a 100K offer. And that night, I had dinner with Russell, okay? Russell, it was a very small table, and Myron was sitting across the room, like opposite me. And I thought the conversation was dead. And then Myron, just out of nowhere, entree comes out. He's like, Richmond, speak to me. How come you don't have a 100K offer? And I'm like, come on, Myron. Entree just came out. Stop this. He's like, no. Tell me what's going on. What's the story? What's going on in your mind? It's like, what if I don't deliver? I feel like if I do it, I have to give like all of my time, and then I'll be in jail. And how much one-on-one do I have to give? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's not about how much time you deliver. It's about what outcome can you deliver for your students. Have you helped your students get to $1 million before? And it's like, yeah, we've helped heaps. It's like, well, then you should be charging 100K for that. It's like, I get what you mean. It's like, but why do you have to trade your time for that? Do you know how to get them there quicker, faster, and you know all the shortcuts to get them there? I'm like, yes, I do. Then you need a 100K offer. And so he pulled out this game and he started playing this game with me, this money game, to really exemplify how I needed to have a 100K offer. He pulled out a $100 bill and he said, Richmond, if you can find me $10, I'll give you this $100 right away. No catch, nothing. And I'm pulling out my wallet and I don't have US dollars. I have this thing called Monopoly money. It's all colorful, red, $20 note, $50 note, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't have $10. And I'm freaking out. And Myron said, you got 60 seconds. I'm like, well, can you take this like $20 Australian note? Can you do this? And no, I need a $10 USD note. And I freaked out to the point where the minute came out, I was like, okay, bad luck. $100 is mine. And he said, anyone on this table here, if you can find me $10, I'll give it to you. And Phyllis was sitting next to me and she didn't have $10, but she said, hey, Russell, or hey, Elaine, or hey, like this other person on the table, do you have $10 I could borrow? I just, yes, I do. And she borrowed the $10 and gave it to Myron, and then she was left with $100. I thought, whoa. Didn't hit me. It hit me. That's when I experienced the value of a 100K offer. It's like, Richmond, what did you learn just then? Well, number one, people don't want your time. People want the outcome. And if you can help someone make $1 million from 100K, then you should. You're selling if you're short, and you are a genius at what you do. And that epiphany and that breakthrough moment was huge for me, because when I lost, I got the lesson. I'm glad I lost that game, because I wouldn't have found out the lesson within myself if I had won. And so that night at the dinner table, from that epiphany, I put out my phone. I messaged Kaylee. Is Kaylee in the room right now? Where's Kaylee? I don't know where she is. There's 127 people in the room. And I said, Kaylee, I have a special offer for you. Kaylee responded, oh, yeah, what is it? I said, I'll tell you tomorrow. And I winked. And she's like, tell me now. I said, it's a 100K offer. I was like, wow, okay, tell me more. I was like, no, I'll tell you tomorrow. And then she started begging me, like, no, I want to know what it is. I want to know this. Okay, well, if you want to know what it is, all I need is $10,000 down right now if you trust me. It's like, okay, I trust you, Richmond. She transferred $10,000. I had no idea what the offer was. I had no idea. I had no idea what the logistics would look like. I knew that I could promise her a 10x return minimum. But I just had no idea, like, what was going to be the day-to-day, delivery, how long, everything. I just knew that I was committed to the outcome. And she put down the 10K. The next day, cool, I said, I'll get back to you details. And I showed Russell my phone. I showed Mari my phone. I showed the whole table my phone. I said, I just signed up my very first 100K offer. First of all, give it up for that. So fast forward today, sold 3 100K offers, which is really cool. And Tony has sold 2. And inside our P1 Plats, they've sold over a dozen. It's been crazy. It's kind of like the 100K offer is the new black. But why am I sharing you this story? For multiple reasons. Number one, when I sign up that 100K offer, one of the things I know that I'm very, very good at is networking up the social ladder. Why? Because you are who you spend time with. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Who gets that principle? We call it the 8th wonder here in point 1. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I can guarantee the number one reason why you're not successful right now is not because of a story that believes that you're not good enough or you don't have the skill. It's because of the people you spend most time with. Period. That is the universal force that no one can ever control, is how far you go and how fast you go is who you spend time with. And so I said, okay, Kaylee, so one of the things in my 100K offer is I'm going to personally introduce you to Myron. I'm going to personally introduce you to Russell. Like, I'm going to personally introduce you to my network, because I believe that introduction is going to be worth more than the $1 million that she could get from a tangible aspect in the ROI. Like, her being personally introduced to my network, who would agree, is more valuable than $1 million. It is. It took me years and years and years and years and years to form these relationships that she can do it in 1 second. And so I got on a video with Myron, and I said, hey, Myron, I'm going to shoot a video for Kaylee, because Myron knew like Kaylee was the first one. And can you just congratulate her, because you were part of this and I want to thank you for it. And so I shot this video with Myron to congratulate Kaylee. And in that video, I kind of said, oh, by the way, Kaylee, one part of the offer is I'm going to introduce you to Myron, and what you do with it is kind of up to you. Now, I'm going to show you that video, because in that video, I had my first vomit experience. And you could see my eyes and my body language in that video, because in that video, I'd shot the video to congratulate Kaylee, to get Myron on, to give Kaylee a personal shout out. And on that video, Myron offered me a 100K offer. And I've never I've never bought a 100K offer before, but I just sold one. It was insane, and I felt like wanted to vomit. So you'll see my reaction. Notice like I'm smiling, but I'm not. I'm like, you know, like notice that reaction. It's like this fake smile, but inside I was screaming, "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!" So watch this video. I've never showed the full video before. You've only seen the first 20 seconds, but this is a full 2 minutes. First time I'm ever showing this to everyone in the public. Kaylee, I'm here with Myron.
Hey Kaylee, how you doing? Proud of you, girl.
Oh yeah, congratulations on the 100K offer.
Yeah, congratulations on being the first.
The first.
Because here's what happens. People sell like they buy. And this 100K offer with Richmond, for you, is going to be your rite of passage to your 100K offer to your clients. I'm looking forward to hearing that story.
And as a special part of the offer, I know she believes in proximity. And so I'm going to give you a personal introduction to Myron. And
Cool.
then whatever you do with that is up to you. But Kaylee's a cool girl. You'll
Cool.
love it.
Is she in Australia?
She's in Australia.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make Richmond an offer. I'm going to make him a 100K offer. He gets to come to Tampa and spend a day with me on my yacht. And if he says yes, I'm going to let him bring you with him.
Oh. Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Say less.
Oh my gosh.
We'll spend the whole day together, and I'm going to teach y'all how to create a premium value offer experience. I'm going to show both of you how to turn that 100K offer into millions for the rest of your life. Millions, like crazy millions. It's insane.
All right.
When are you leaving?
Tonight.
Oh man, that's too bad. Because since you're taking me up on the 100K offer, I was going to let you fly back on my private jet to Tampa with me. So I don't know if you can rearrange your schedule or not. But if you can, you can fly back and mastermind in the sky with us.
Oh my gosh.
So there you have it.
Okay. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna chase some of the
Fly out of Tampa tomorrow night. Change your flight to fly out of Tampa tomorrow night.
This is all moving too fast, Myron.
No, it's
No,
no.
I'm just kidding,
No.
I'm just
Wealth
kidding.
has a need for speed.
I love it.
So anyway,
All right.
congratulations, Kayla.
Haley, congratulations.
Haley, congratulations.
All right. You guys see my reaction there? Like if you know me, you know, like I'm freaking out inside. And I'll look at that video and I still feel that day like it was yesterday. Who saw that? Like who sees like, this is too fast. Like, and it was only to spend a day on a yacht with him for 100K. It's like, here's a 100K offer for you. You get to spend a day on a yacht with me and you get to bring Kaylee as a guest. I'm like, for 100K, number one, it's 100K. I've never spent 100K or invested 100K in my life in one hit like that, yet alone for a day on a yacht. And so I'm freaking out. I feel like I want to vomit. Internally, I'm just going all blue and cold. But then a part of me was thinking, well, this is the game of life. In life, I cannot have a problem that I cannot deal with because I've got the skill sets from the level that I acquired from the level before. But also in life, I cannot get an opportunity that comes my way because I got the skill set from the level that I conquered before. Who's following this right now? And even though I see this enemy or I see this opportunity and it makes me want to vomit and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, bring me back to level 2. No, But at the same time, the other part of me was like, why is this happening to me? Because it wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me. And since then, I said yes, and I committed to my word. And the whole rest of the day, you have no idea on how many times I pulled out my phone and wanted to message him saying, I'm out. I can't do this. Because at the end, what was not on that video was this. So, okay, Myron, how much deposit do you need? Because I need half now. He sent me the wire instructions, and I can tell you that there was at least a dozen moments for the rest of that day where I legit was going to message saying, Myron, I cannot do this. I feel like vomiting. I want out. I want out. I want out. I want out. But at the end of the day, I resolved it within myself, because here's what happened. He just helped me sell a 100K offer. He helped me believe in myself. And I thought, worst case scenario, I just sold a 100K offer, and that's okay. And now I get to spend a day on a yacht with him, and also Kaylee gets to spend a day on a yacht too. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, Kaylee sold 2 100K offers. It was crazy. And that started to make me feel better about my decision. And I went from thinking, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't work, to how do I make it work? How do I make this 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 work? So I transferred him the money. I felt great about it. I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to make this work. I'm going to show all our P1s, show all this to the Platts, and then Platts started getting results like crazy. Then we sold our second 100K offer. Then I sold my third one. Then Tony sold his first one, then his second one. And then we were just selling 100K offers like crazy. We had already personally within P1, just between me and Tony, 5x our investment within the first 6 weeks. It was like, because I started to ask the question of, how do I make this work? Who's following this right now? Now, I had no idea what else I was going to get with Myron. The only point that I don't think I knew at this point was, I'm just gonna get a day on a yacht with him. And then he said a private jet experience. But I couldn't fly out that day to go to Tampa, and so he said to me, I'll credit you that experience, that private jet experience. Now, he called me a couple of days later when I got back to Sydney, just, I guess, to onboard me. Congratulations, signing up 100K offer. Here's some of the logistics, here's the details. And on that phone, at the end of the phone call, he said, by the way, Richmond, just wanted to let you know that, that I always have a 350K offer if you wanted to upgrade to that. I'm like, stop it, Myron. Stop it. Stop it. I'm like, I literally said, Myron, stop it. Stop it. It was immediate. No, I'm good. And I said, okay, no, just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Okay. And at the end of that phone call, I'm like, what is going? Shit. I'm thinking, holy shit. Excuse the French, but I just got used to the 100K deal. What is that? Oh my gosh. Who can feel this, by the way? Like, I'm freaking out. And now I'm thinking, okay, this is not how the game of life should be working. I just conquered the devil in this level. I just conquered this opportunity. I just beat the powers. I just advanced from level 10 to level 11 now. Level 10 was overcome the 100K offer. Level 11 is not a 350K offer. It's not that. It's something else, but it can't be that. So that was it. I was like, a resounding no. I'm on level 11. Let me enjoy this. Just let me enjoy level 11 for a little bit. I just don't want to face my first hurdle yet. I just want to sit back, relax, enjoy my pot of gold, enjoy my points, enjoy my new powers before I go and beat the next enemy. Just chill out. And I instinctively knew that that was not going to be the first time that it would offer it to me again. And so when I went to Las Vegas for Fun Hacking Live a couple of weeks ago, I did get the opportunity to go on his jet. So I flew to Tampa, and from Tampa to Las Vegas, which was a 5-hour flight on this plane here, which you saw online. And that was only a couple of weeks ago. And on those 5 hours, whoa, my mind was blown away by the value he provided. It was nuts. I was like, wow, I've already got 5x value from the 100K offer. The stuff he was teaching on this jet, because he got up, like we sat for about half an hour, and I thought, oh yeah, we're just going to sit and chill out. I'm going to mastermind. Those two people, the other two people you see there, Dr. Sonia and Charles, they both make over $10 million a year. Sonia makes about 15. Charles makes about $30 million a year. Right? And I'm thinking, sitting in this room, and I'm like, oh shit, we only made $5 million last year. I'm definitely the smallest fish in the pond, which means that I was in the right room. And we're just chatting, we're just talking and just, getting along. I thought, wow, this is a cool experience. And then Myron gets up, he turns his seat around. There's a few other people behind us, and he starts doing like this little seminar thing. And he speaks for an entire 2 hours on personal branding and what he feels the next step is for each of our businesses, because he knew our business inside out. And I'm like, whoa, we got the opportunity to ask him any questions. And it was Q&A for another 2 hours, just open Q&A, anything you want. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. This is the 100K value right now. Now I know why you don't have to sell one-on-one time. You just sell outcomes. You're selling the outcome from the experience, yet alone the experience of being on the jet. And I haven't even been on the yacht yet. And at the end of that experience, he said to me this one sentence, and it was around the 350K offer. And I knew it was coming, and it was coming, it was coming, it was coming. But I didn't know he would be asking it like that. And after that one sentence, I said, Myron, I'm in. It was the best closing line I've ever heard in my life, and it was genuine and real, and I felt it, and I'm like, I was in. Who'd like to know what that one sentence was that allowed me to say yes to a 350K offer? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Six Figure Speaker March 2025. So today, you're going to learn the framework of that story. Today, you're going to have your own story within that framework. And we're going to develop multiple stories. And I know what you're thinking. I don't have a fancy life like that to create a story like that, but it's not that at all. It's the framework. I can break out in any story, in any event, whether you're going to a supermarket, whether you're buying groceries, whether you're changing a light bulb, and create a powerful story like that through a framework. But what we're also going to do today is learn how to share a story and end with an open loop like that. To leave your prospects or your audience thinking, why did you do that to me? And so for anyone who's going to stay all the way to the end today, I will tell you that line. Maybe. I'll tell you that line. Who'd like to know that line? Yeah, cool. But more importantly, who'd like to know how to share a story in that framework? And then also sometimes even share stories deliberately just to leave an open loop, because open loops are just fun, but also extremely impactful. Who gets this, by the way? Yeah, very, very cool. So here is the framework. And I'm going to do some examples. I'm going to get you guys to do it and take action. But this is the framework. This is the ultimate hero story framework. And I've shared this framework before, but it's such a powerful framework that I need you guys to master. Not just to know this viscerally or understand it, but master. And the better you can master this, the better you can break out the story any given moment for any situation, regardless of what's happening in your life. Whether you're going to buy groceries, whether you're dropping your kids off at school, whether you're helping them with their homework, whether you're going to the gym, whether you're just having a shower, whether you're getting ready for an event, whatever the story is, you follow this framework and every single story will have power in it. So this is the ultimate hero storytelling framework. Number one, every single story opens up with a scene. So it was only a couple of months ago in October where I was at Russell Brunson's Inner Circle Mastermind. And at this Inner Circle Mastermind, what we do is we go there, we present our biggest problem, and we go on stage and share what's working best in our business, and we get help. Now, at that event, I stood up on stage, and then I was sharing my biggest problem, but suddenly, I don't know why, but they broke down my ascension model, and there's this problem, the struggle. They said, Richmond, how come you don't have a 100K offer? I'm like, what are you talking about? Every story opens up with a scene. The scene is painting the picture and the context and the pre-frame of what's about to happen. It's the storm. It's like the dark clouds before the storm. It's like everything's rosy, and then, oh my gosh, lightning hits. Then comes the struggle. What is the struggle in the story? The struggle could be an internal struggle, or it could be an external struggle, but there is a struggle, there is a fight, there is an obstacle that came your way. You may be on level 3, level 4, level 5, level 10, level 20, but there's an obstacle, there's an enemy, there's a struggle, there's a hurdle that comes your way. The bigger the hurdle, write this down, the better the story. And so if you're facing struggles in your life right now, congratulations, because you need to share that story, because one day that will be your story. I remember when I started my coaching business, I was living in a tiny 2-bedroom unit apartment. Penny was pregnant with our second child. Kennedy was staying in our first room. I had nowhere to coach. And I wasn't proud of our lives. I had just lost $1.2 million in the property market. I was a life coach, broke, no experience, felt like a massive imposter. And I would not tell anyone that I was coaching my laundry because I had nowhere else to coach. And our dining table was my office table. But I kept on telling myself that one day this will be my story. 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 The bigger the struggle, the better the story. The bigger the struggle, the better the story. The bigger the struggle, the better the story. And this was happening for me, not to me. And I made a commitment to myself that one day I'll be sharing the story of how I started coaching in my laundry. And that became the story. But all started with a struggle. But from that struggle, there comes a switch. A light bulb moment, an aha moment where it all changed. And we went out to dinner that night and Myron pulls out and says to me, Richmond, how come you don't have a 100K offer? Talk to me about this. And he plays this money game. And I lost the money game. I couldn't find the $10. And oh my gosh. And I learned an important lesson that day. There's a switch in every story, the moment where it all turned around, where you realize on how to solve that struggle. Every story, there's a switch. Who's following this so far? Right? Where it all changed. From that switch, you got a result. There was a solution. And then I signed up and we sold my first 100K offer, then our second, then our third, then Tony sold his first, then his second, and then suddenly all P1s are starting to sell 100K offers. That's the happy ending. That's the resolution. And then finally, the most important part of every great story is it must end with the point of the story, which is the significance. Meaning, and I share this story with you because you cannot face an obstacle that you cannot handle. You cannot have an opportunity in your life that you are not ready for. And I share this story with you because every single person here, you're here because life is happening for you, not to you. Who's following this right now? So this is the ultimate story framework. But Richmond, my life is boring. I didn't go to a mastermind. I'm not in Russell Brunson's inner circle. I'm not flying on a jet. I'm not going to Las Vegas. Oh my gosh, I don't do this Tony Robbins stuff, blah, 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 blah. My life is completely boring. Now let me share with you on how creativity is created from commitment. The only reason why you lack creativity is because you lack commitment. And I'll give you a real life demonstration, real life story. So when I realized the power of storytelling, and I made a commitment to myself that I'm going to master this. And so just for context, in order for me to get on that flight, that private jet flight with Myron, this is what had to happen. It was crazy. So I flew to Las Vegas to land there on Sunday, and it was a red-eye flight. 15 hours from Sydney to Las Vegas. Not direct, but Sydney to LAX to Las Vegas. So the first leg was about 13 and a half hours, and then another 1 hour 15 to Las Vegas. And that was a red-eye flight, meaning that I only got around about 2 hours sleep on that flight because the flight landed at midnight Sydney time, which was about 6 a.m. LAX time. And so I usually sleep about 10 o'clock. So I slept from 10 to 12, only the flight landing, and I only got 2 hours. So I was really tired. Now I landed, got to the hotel, checked in around about 10:30, 11 o'clock, had a quick shower, got ready, because then I had to go to an event to speak at Eileen Whitey's event, and I had to be there at 2 o'clock. So at 1:30, met in the lobby, caught an Uber, got to the event, and spoke from 3 to 4 for an hour on 2 hours sleep. And then at the end of that, I had to go back, have a quick shower, have dinner, and catch a red-eye flight at 11 p.m. from Las Vegas to Tampa, Florida, which is 5 hours away, only to land there at 4 a.m. Vegas time, which is 7 a.m. Tampa time, and the private jet was taking off at 7:30. And on that, I was so anxious that I would not get there on time that I had no sleep, and plus the chair didn't recline, and so anytime I nodded off, I was just nodding off like this. So over 2 days, I only had about 2 hours sleep. But the reason why I did that was because I said to myself, well, at least it'll be a good story. No joke. And I said this to P1s a couple of weeks ago before we left. I said, okay, I'm doing this. This is what's going to happen. And I told them I said, I'm going to have to take 2 red eye flights. And I'm like, oh. And I even said to Myron, this is what I'm actually going to do. And this is how committed I am to get on that jet with you. But I said to myself, at least it'll be a good story. At the very least. But it became more than just a good story. It became a $350,000 investment. That ended up being the story. But I share that because at least it'll be a good story. So when COVID happened and Australia particularly was in one of the world's worst lockdowns, we were still running P1. And I said to myself, in the next 12 months during our lockdown, every single week when I opened up a P1 group call, which we have every single week when I opened up, that I would open up with a quick 3 to 5 minute story of something that happened that week. I committed to opening up with a story of something that happened that week. Now, little did I know that after 2 weeks of doing that, I kind of fell short on how to create any more stories, because how can you create stories when you're locked down, living at home and you're not going out? Like, how many stories can you create of what, today I went to the toilet and this happened. Here's the struggle. Oh my gosh, I ran out of toilet paper. Like, I mean, how many of those can you create? And then I had a supermarket story, but that was it. When you're going out and about, there's so many opportunities to think about a story. But I was stuck. But I was committed. And from that commitment, I developed a story every single week for a whole year, because creativity came from commitment. And because I committed to that, it forced me to become creative. And I would have not become creative like that if I did not commit to that story. And I'll share with you a real life example. Because during that 12 months, I went to the supermarket, and you may recognize this. Who recognizes one of these? Right? Lysol, Dettol, Glen 20, they're disinfectant sprays. And when the laws got a bit more flexible and they started to allow us to have one guest over, like you can have one family member over, or you can have one friend over and have to live within a 5-kilometer radius and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, finally we can have people over, but only 1 at a time or 2 at a time. And so I decided to go to the supermarket to get some more Glen 20, which is a disinfectant spray, because it's like, you got to spray and disinfect, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's viruses everywhere. So we wanted to spray our house and make sure it's like, safe for our guests and all that kind of stuff. And so I did have, and the reason why I went, because I had some, but I ran out. I ran out of disinfectant spray. It was all gone. And so I went to the supermarket looking for some more Glen 20. I know in America you call it Lysol, in Europe you call it Dettol, right? And this Glen 20 says kills 99.9% of germs. 99.9% of germs. I don't know if you guys can see that there, 99.9% of germs. And I saw a Glen 20, another can, right, that says kills 99.9% of germs. And see that little tab there? I don't know if you can see that, it's probably not clear, but it says kills 99.9% of germs, including COVID-19. Including COVID-19. Now, which one would you buy? Go ahead, type in the chat room. Which one would you buy? Like the COVID-19 one or the regular one? Remember, we're in the middle of the pandemic. And I have guests over. It is like da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, well, with TK, well, it's like,
Mate, everyone's blowing it up in the chat screen. We're buying the COVID-19. Get the COVID-19. Buy it now.
Yeah. And so I bought the COVID-19 one. And when I got home, I thought, wow, that was fast. They just created the cure for cancer. You know what I mean? Shit, what's the difference between this and this? What's the difference? I was baffled. But I bought it because, of course, I want to kill 99.9% germs and COVID-19 100%. And so now my curiosity went on this venture to find out what the difference was. And I know some of you guys have heard this story, and maybe you know where this is leading. But then I got my empty can and I got this can to look at the ingredients. And lo and behold, the ingredients were exactly the same. I couldn't believe it. But a part of me was like, I'm not even shocked, because poison kills everything. When you spray enough of this, you kill a whole cow probably. You know what I mean? Like, it just kills everything. Like, wow. I had this epiphany moment. I thought, wow, the power of market to message fit. The power of knowing who you're speaking to. The power of relevancy, which is all part of speaking. Who's following this right now? And I thought, whoa, if I had to go back to the supermarket, knowing that they're exactly the same, would I still buy the one that says kills COVID-19? I would. As crazy as that sounds, I still would. Who's following? It's just a weird thing of knowing who you're speaking to. So why do I share that story with you? Because you don't need fancy events in your life to create a story like that. All you need to do is go to the supermarket and create your own Glen 20 story. Who's following? Because it all follows this framework. During COVID, we're in lockdown. This is the scene. And I committed to creating a story every single week when we open up our P1 call. But here's the problem. We were in lockdown and there were no stories to tell. There's only so many times you can go to the toilet and tell a story about a toilet. There's only so many times you can go to the supermarket and tell a story about a supermarket. There's only times where it's your kids misbehaving and tell a story about that. But then finally, when the world opened up and we could get some guests over, and I went to the supermarket to buy some Glen 20, and I bought this, and I had this moment, I bought this COVID-19 one. I was curious, what was the difference? And I saw the difference was exactly the same. This is a switch. You can see the switch happening. I read it, wow, exactly the same ingredients. And that's when I had an epiphany, and the epiphany was, wow, the power of market to message match, knowing who you're speaking to. And that's when I realized that when you have relevance to the room and you know who you're speaking to, then you can sell more products. And because if I came back to it, I would have bought exactly the same thing. And so why am I sharing this story? This is now the significance. Because you don't have to have fancy events in your life to be able to share a great story. All you need is a great framework. Who just saw that? Show of hands. And this is the framework for any story. For any story. So who would like today to master this framework? Very, very cool. I'm going to break it down in more detail than I've ever broken down before. And when we start with the story, we always, we must begin with the end in mind. When we architect a story, always ask yourself, what is the end outcome? What is the significance of the story? Always start with the significance. And then you open up with the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution. But the significance starts. You can build the whole story once you know what the ending is, once you know what the point of the story is. Because without an end point, there is no map. In order for you to go to a new location on Google Maps, you must put in your destination first, and then the blue line is drawn. You don't draw a blue line and then put in the destination. It'll be impossible. Otherwise, the blue line will waver anywhere, everywhere, all over the place. Show of hands, this is making sense. So you must know your destination, which is the point of the story. Start with the point of the story. And every story must have a point, but here's the cool thing. The same story can have 100 different points. So that story I just shared with you about Glen 20, I've shared it in a course creation masterclass. And the point of what I'm sharing with you is that when you have an I help statement that matches what your clients are looking for, you will make more money than a person with a wishy-washy I help statement. Same story, but now we're talking about I help statement. Who's following this right now? Right? So you can have different points for exactly the same story. And that's the cool thing about it. So sometimes you don't even need many stories. You just need many points. And so when we begin with the end in mind, a couple of questions that I want you guys to answer. By the way, who's got the workbook? I'm just kidding. There's no workbook. I just wanted to... All right. Next is just take a screenshot. I know. Nico's laughing. It's like, I need a workbook. I need a workbook. No, you just need to listen. Just listen. Cool. So 5 questions to elicit the significance, which is the power lesson of the story. 5 questions. Okay. 5 questions. So you can take a screenshot of this, you can write it down, whatever you want to do, it's okay. P1s, these are going to be uploaded in the P1 library within the next 48 hours or so anyway. So you can always revisit this again and again and again and again. Now, 5 questions. Number 1, who are you speaking to? That's the most important, because that will help you determine the point of the story. So in this context, I'm speaking to P1s, I'm speaking to some of our guests, and that means that when I share the Glen 20 story, I know the point of the story, and we're doing a storytelling masterclass, and I know the point of the story has to be around about storytelling. But if I'm doing this same story and I'm speaking to a cold audience who are in my masterclass and I'm trying to sell a $1,000 Underdog Academy program, then I'm speaking to a different audience that has a different point to that same story. Is this all making sense? So who you're speaking to will help you point the compass in the direction of what the point of the story is. Number 1, most important question. The second question is, why are they in the room? Why are they in the room? Know why they're in the room. Third question is, what outcome are they looking for? Notice already, I've never even focused about what am I speaking about? What are they going to think about me? What if I can't do this? What if me? No. The only reason why you're suffering is because you're focusing on yourself. It is impossible to suffer when you're focused on someone else. It is impossible. Impossible. You cannot suffer when you're focusing on other people. You cannot feel fear of public speaking when you're focusing on the room. You cannot feel the anxiety that comes up when you're speaking to a cold audience when you're focusing on them. It is impossible. Fear is always an inward focus of self. And so when we have these questions to direct us on speaking to the room, it'll resolve. There is no such thing as, oh, I'm scared of public speaking. It's just called, I'm focused on myself too much. That's it. Focus on the room, focus on who you're speaking to, why are they there, and what are they looking for, and then you'll resolve all your fear around speaking. The next question is, what aha moment would you like them to have? So this is the point of the story. Again, the significance of power lesson. And then finally, based on the above, what could be the power lesson of the story? What could be? Because it could be many, but in this instance, what could be the power lesson of the story? And if you're not sure on a power lesson, you're like, I don't know what the power lesson is, you're allowed to reference famous quotes. 100%. Give me a thumbs up. You got a screenshot of this or you write this down. I want to make sure you guys are good. Good, very, very good. Cool. 100% you can reference famous quotes. So for example, I might share a story around niching. And I won't break out to the story around niching, but in case, I'll go through the scene, when I started and I was an optometrist. Actually, you know what? I'll just share the story about my niching then. Since it's storytelling mastery. So you guys can see the framework happening. Now, when I started my career as a coach, Scott Harrison was my first coach. Who can see me opening up the scene right now, right? I'm opening up the scene. Scott said, Richmond, who are you going to serve? Who's going to be your niche? And I wanted to be a life coach. And I'd be, Scott, I want to be a life coach for everyone. He's like, everyone? Yeah, everyone. It's like, Richmond, you can't be a life coach for everyone. But I can help everyone. I can help everyone. It's like, Richmond, you can't. I mean, you can, but you can't. And you're going to die if you try to serve everyone. I'm like, but God, I can. I was like, no, you can't. So Richmond, niche down. And so me being a great student, it got to me and I was like, fine, I'll niche down. And so that night I was thinking, what am I going to niche down to? What am I going to niche down to? What am I going to niche down? What am I going to niche down to? And I was so stuck. And I thought, I'm just going to surrender and let go. And sometimes when you surrender and let go, ideas just come to you. Who's ever had an idea that came to them in the middle of the night or in the shower when they're going for a run or something like that, right? It was a download from whatever you want to call it, God, grace, the universe, something like that happened. And so that night, because I kept on asking myself the question, oh man, what's going to be my niche? What's going to be my niche? What's going to be my niche? And then it hit me like lightning. I knew in that instant, it was around about 2:30 a.m. in the middle of the night where I knew exactly who I wanted to serve and who I was called to serve. I wanted to be a life coach for the elderly. Why? Because as an optometrist, as an optometrist for 10 years, I had done 20,000 eye tests in those 10 years. I was an exceptional optometrist and extremely competent. Now, out of the 20,000 eye tests, about 15 to 16,000 of them were done with patients that were over the age of 55, meaning they were seniors or elderlies. And the majority, even probably 10,000, were over the age of 70. And so I had built this affinity and rapport and deep understanding of seniors and elderly, because not only would they come in for an eye test, but they'll tell me their life story, they'll tell me their pain points, they'll tell me everything they wanted, they'll tell me, I knew everything about them. And I was great with elderly patients. And they just, I don't know, they just had this reciprocity and kind of liking towards me. And so the next day I went, Scott, I've got my niche, it's my calling, it's who I'm called to serve. I'm gonna be a life coach for the elderly. He's like, wow. Amazing. Why? It's like, this is the reason why. I've done 20,000 eye tests. And yes, I'm going to be a life coach for the elderly. Now, Scott had this method on how to get experience, and it was called pro bono coaching. Now, that was back in the old days. You guys know pro bono coaching is dead. We don't do that anymore. It's all tiny challenges now. But back then, it was like, hey, take some clients on pro bono, 1 call a week for 6 weeks, or even 10 weeks, or even 12 weeks, and you coach them for free to get experience and get a testimonial. And he would suggest that take on 10 clients, coach them for free for 6 weeks, 1 call a week. Sometimes I took them on for 12 weeks. I took them 1 call a week for 12 weeks. And you can imagine, number one, that's a really slow framework to get experience, because a tiny challenge can compress that into 5 days. Who's getting this right now? But that being said, that was the best framework at the time. And I said to Scott, okay, cool, good. I'm going to get 10 elderly clients as pro bono. I'm going to coach them. I'm going to experience. I'm going to get testimonial. It's going to be so good. I was so excited about it. And then Scott said to me, whoa, Richmond, I probably wouldn't suggest you get 10 elderly clients to coach pro bono. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 max. Get some your age, get some your ethnicity, get some, your industry. Like, get a mix. Just get a mix. I'm like, what? Hang on a sec, Scott. You just were telling me to niche down. I found my calling. I niched down. And now you're telling me, hang on, hold your horses. Don't take all 10 pro bono as elderly. I'm like, I'm confused. More than being confused, I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off because he's telling me to niche down. I found my calling, and now it's telling me to hang back and don't do that. It's not smart. I'm like, what do you mean it's not smart? This is who I'm meant to serve. And I was so angry, but because I'm such a great student, I let my ego and put it on the shelf, and I said, well, why am I going to pay for coaching and not listen to my coach? I mean, why would he try to steer me the wrong way? There was no way why he was trying to steer me the wrong way. And I thought, okay, it's just my ego getting in the way. Okay, I'm going to listen to him begrudgingly, resentfully. I'm going to listen to him. And at least if he's right, then it's good. If he's wrong, then I can blame him. Either way, I'm going to win. And so I was like, fine, I'll listen to you, Scott. I didn't want to listen to him, but I listened to him because I need to put my ego on the shelf. And so I took on 10 pronos. I took on 2 elderly, one 64-year-old, one 67-year-old, and then the rest, a bit of a mix of everything. And I thought, this is stupid. I'm wasting my time with the other 8. And so I started coaching all 10 of them, and the craziest thing happened. After about 3 or 4 sessions of coaching the elderly, I realized I hated coaching the elderly. In fact, I had more fulfillment, more fun, more joy, more results coaching the people that were more like me. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And at that point, I learned a powerful lesson. That here I am trying to meditate what was clear to me, what was my calling. In actual fact, I learned that action precedes clarity all the time. All the time. And I share this with you because you may not be 100% clear on your niche. You may not be 100% clear on your avatar. You may not be 100% clear on who you're called to serve. But the only way to get clarity on that is just to take action, because action precedes clarity all the time. So I'm sharing that story for a couple of reasons. Number one, because that power lesson is a lesson that I created. But you can have a different power lesson to that, and you can quote famous quotes. For example, I share that story with you because Scott was right when it came to niching down, that As Bruce Lee says, you need to fear the person that doesn't know 10,000 kicks, but fear the person that knows one kick that's practiced it 10,000 times. And for me, I was trying to master 10,000 kicks without realizing I needed to master one kick and practice it 10,000 times. See how I just used a different power lesson and I quoted a famous person, Bruce Lee. So if you're not even sure on a power lesson, or sometimes you are sure, but you can still quote people that have done famous quotes like that and put it in your power lesson. Who's following this right now? So if you're like, Richmond, I can't think of a great power lesson. Well, think of a great quote. And if you're not sure on a great quote, you can ChatGPT great quotes. So same story, different power lesson. So back to this framework here. Once you know who you're talking to, why they're in the room, what outcome they're looking for, what aha moment would you like them to have, based on the information above, what could be the power lesson of your story? And yes, you can quote famous quotes. So what we're going to do right now is this. We are going to create your story of why you became a coach. That's the first story that we all must have as a coach, but we need to understand how to share it in a very impactful way. And then we're going to build on that as the day progresses. But the first story I want to help you guys build through this framework is why you became a coach. So in order to start this story, begin with the end in mind. And so I'm going to get you guys to answer some questions. Then later on, we're going to go into a breakout room and you're going to share it with the framework to your breakout room. And so as you answer these questions, you're going to be sharing this story to about 5 or 6 other people in a breakout room. So who are you speaking to? You're speaking to a group of coaches. You're speaking to P1s. You're speaking to your friends. You're speaking to your peers. So now you know who you're speaking to. So is this all making sense? Because you've got to share this framework to your breakout room. So that's who you're speaking to. You're speaking to your fellow peers inside P1. Why are they here? They're here for a speaking event. What outcome they're looking for? Maybe some inspiration. I don't know. But that's for you to answer. And what aha moment would you like them to have when you share them the story of why you became a coach? Based on above, what could be the power lesson of your story? So I'm going to give you guys, let's go, we'll go 2 songs and then we'll just gauge where you guys are. If you need more time, we'll go an extra song. But let's start with this, begin with end in mind. We're going to share a story of why you became a coach. But the first part of that story is, what's the power lesson of that story? So we'll give you guys 2 songs to answer these questions. But first of all, is everyone clear on what we're about to do? Any questions? Anyone stuck? Unless I'm lost, what am I meant to do here? What's the exercise? Just type in the chat screen and we'll help you out.
Let's do it, mate. I think there's plenty of nerves coming through the chat. I see Ray Mitchell he feels like vomiting, and it's getting a lot of reactions, which is really cool. Cornelius has gotten the chat lost. All right, mate. Let's bring Cornelius on, and Sally Lane's just after a time frame. How long are we speaking for?
We'll talk about that later. Yeah. But just at that point, the story would only be about 3 to 5 minutes anyway, so it won't be that long. And it's funny how you said Ray wants to vomit. Ray, you don't know what vomit feels like. I'm going to send you a DM right now and offer you a 100K offer, and then you can vomit. So you guys are laughing. Maybe I should. Anyway, so TK, let's get Cornelius up.
Yeah, let's grab Cornelius if we can. Let's see if we can't get some clarity on here.
And if you're stuck, type in your question too, so maybe a quick answer for you as well. You can type in Cornelius. We're gonna send the unmute release unbutton for you because I know you can't do it right now. So, what exactly are you stuck on with what we're about to do next with these questions?
I guess I just lost track of where we're going or what the questions are.
Well, first of all, do you understand how to answer these questions?
Yes.
Good. That's all you need to know for now.
Okay.
You're future pacing yourself too much, and that's why you're getting anxiety or you're feeling stuck. Cool?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Cool. So everybody here, your next step is we're going to create a why did you become a coach story, but we're just going to, I'm chunking this down for you, one piece at a time. I'll help you create the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution. But for now, I just want to start with this. So if you can answer these questions, then we'll build out like Lego, the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution. Give me a thumbs up if that's making sense. Cool. So, and then you're going to deliver that into a breakout room in this room here with 5 or 6 people. So that's who you're speaking to. But let's just start with, if you were to share to 5 or 6 people why you became a coach, at the end of that story, what's going to be the point of that story? What lesson would you like to give them? What's going to be that power lesson? What's going to be the point? What's going to be this, okay, I share the story because this is the reason why I share this with you. Like, what's going to be that thing for you that you want to give to them as a significance of the story? So anything else coming through the chat screen, TK?
No, mate, I think that we're going to be pretty clear here. The only thing I think that people are sort of caught on or stuck on is like, who are we speaking to? And guys, we're speaking to coaches inside the breakout room. So that's who we're speaking to. And the story is, why did you become a coach? Okay, so now we've got a title, we've got some framing, and like Richmond said, we've got some nice Lego pieces coming together. So I think we're good to rock and roll.
Cool. All right, we'll give you guys a couple of songs. We'll check in where you guys are at if you need more time. We'll come back after a couple of songs. right, show of hands, you got something on paper. Show of hands. Good. Yes. Give it up for you guys for having something on paper. Why is that important to have something on paper? Because motion is what's going to create results. Otherwise, you're just dead space. Who's following this right now? Just have something on paper. Now, I don't care what it is you have on paper, but you've got something. You know, it's really interesting. Now, who's a parent, just by the way, who's a parent? Or actually, if you're not a parent, but you have like little nieces, nephews, like that kind of stuff. And like our kids, they love pancakes. And anyone cooked pancakes before? And I love making like animal pancakes for them. So, you know, I'll sometimes make like a butterfly and a turtle and a crocodile and a giraffe and a snake. And, you know, they just, Daddy, can you make this? And they just love it. And it's just a fun experience. And it's really interesting, like as kids, you know, it's just, sometimes it's not perfect. It's a bit messy and you just do with whatever you do. But when you transition to adulthood, I was thinking about this, and you cook pancakes, and you're not making it for kids, maybe you're making it yourself. The first two are always dud pancakes. It's a really weird thing, and I don't know the science behind why the first two are just dud pancakes. Who gets what I'm trying to say here? And then as you get older, and you're hosting for your friends, or you're hosting for whoever it is, you would actually cook the first two pancakes and kind of throw them out or hide them and only present the nice ones. It's really interesting why we do that, but as kids, we don't. And we don't even care. Anyone ever thought about that? Like, number one, why are they duds, the first two? Because they always are anyway. And then the third one is just perfect. And then second reason is, why do we care? When that's just how life is. Because as you get older, you get conditioned by the people around you. This is why it's so important to spend time with the right people. Perfectionism is created from the people around you. Who's following this? So I share that story because, write this down. We need to be like kids again because messy is sexy. Messy is sexy. So let's treat today as if you're a kid. You're curious, you're open to learning, you're here to have fun. Messy is sexy. And if I got something down on paper, then that's okay, because this is the first time I've ever done this framework and it's my first pancake. And that's completely okay, because my first pancake is always going to be the best one anyway. Because at least I did it and it still tastes awesome, but I'm following a proven framework with the right support and the right community here. Who's getting this right now? And so I just shared a story to exemplify a point. The same thing. Open up with the scene, with the problem, with the switch, with the solution, with the power lesson. And I literally just created that right now. I didn't even have a slide for a pancake as I was seeing some things go through the chat screen. Oh, I'm a bit stuck. I don't know what I'm meant to do. Oh, it doesn't fit. And I sense that, maybe some of you guys are just feeling like it needs to be perfect, like it's your third pancake. But to get your third pancake, what do you need to do? You need to cook the first two. So who's up for cooking the first two pancakes today? Yeah, very, very cool. So now we got the end in mind with the power lesson. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You're making little animals anyway. It's never meant to be a perfect circle anyway. When is it ever a perfect circle? It's always going to be okay. And so then we're going to start to build like Lego blocks the other parts of our story. So we began with the end in mind. Here's the power lesson. By the way, type in your power lesson in the chat screen. Type it in. I'd like to get a gauge of where the room is. Whatever it is, like just type it in. It might be one sentence. It might be two sentences. It might be a couple of words. It might be whatever it is. It might be borrowed from someone else. It might be a famous quote from Bruce Lee. It might be a Confucius saying. It might be some influencer, whatever. What power lessons do you have?
Somebody wise once said, all right, here we go. We've got here in the chat from Craig says, magic is the mission. Nicola says, the moment you know, often it's a feeling of nausea. Yeah, I got this. Luke Jenner says here, the most powerful person in the room is the one who tells the best story. A quote from Steve Jobs. Boom, let's rock and roll. We've got here in the chat from Coach Andy Bassett. Move from pain to purpose. Oh, I like it. Monica Hill says the only way to reach your goal is to start and not stop. All right, I'm going to scroll down the bottom here, and we're going to finish up with. Did I see Tyrone Bray? It says here, you might not be where you hoped, but you're exactly where you need to be. Oh, what a great one to finish on too.
Wow, give it up for you guys. Let's go. That power lesson, and if you're like, oh my gosh, just borrow one of these ones. Then some of them are so good. And let's be real, your power lesson, even if you didn't borrow it from someone else, is probably borrowed from someone else that you don't even know who got it from in the first place anyway. Like we're just, you guys get what I'm saying? Like it's all somewhere in the universe, unless you made up a new language or something like that, or whatever it is. So start with the significance. That's the power lesson of the story. Then we can now build it from sequential order, because we know where we're going now. We have the coordinates of the GPS. Now we can draw out the blue line on the Google Maps, but we have to put in the end result first, which is the significance of the story. So then we can build out the scene. Which is this. The scene is, we're going to set the mood of the story. So I'm going to go through this one by one like Lego, but I'll give you the big picture framework first. So when you're up at a scene, you want to set the mood. The mood's kind of like the tone. What's kind of the feeling? Is it a sunny day? Is it a cloudy day? Is a storm coming? Is it a grey day? Like what kind of the mood? Then we go into the struggle. And the struggle is, now you got to state what the problem is, and more importantly, why it's a problem. So the scene is why I became a coach. It's like, it was 8 years ago and life was good, but then I got this cancer diagnosis. Boom, struggle. The reason why this is a problem is because I've been vegan, I've been healthy, and how did this happen when I've never smoked a cigarette in my life? Who can see now the problem is a bigger problem because I stated why it's a problem? Who can see that, by the way, right? Because it's not just I got a cancer diagnosis, but the reason why there's a problem is because I'm the healthiest person I know. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, and I get this cancer diagnosis. Show of hands, you can see that. Now, when you stated why it's a problem, boom. Open the scene, why it's a problem. Cool? Then we go to the switch. The switch is, what is the specific aha moment that changed it all? You went on this journey, and you found this CD called Tony Robbins, or a friend gave you this book, or you know what, I saw this documentary with Gary Brecka, who is the #1 biohacker on the planet, who has cured so many people from diseases who couldn't be treated from Western medicine, and that changed it all. Boom. Then you go into the solution, which is the end result. State the resolution, which is the happy ending. And from that, I was healed, I became fulfilled, I inspired others, and I share this story with you. Boom, power lesson. Is this all making sense? Show of hands, is it making sense? Cool. This is like the sequential order, and we're going to build it out slowly. Cool. So to build it out slowly, let me get rid of my face. You can screenshot that. Screenshot it, or you can just write it down. Or if someone wants to screenshot it, they can post it in the chat screen as well. I'm more than happy for someone to screenshot this, post it in the chat screen so they can download it if they're not sure how to do that. Cool. Thumbs up, you got a screenshot done or you got it down? Excellent, cool. I'm sure we have someone that can post it in the screen right now. Now, then we go into, let's build this out. Why did you become a coach? So we've got the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution. You already got your power lesson, which is fine. You got a power lesson, cool. Actually, let me go back. Someone screenshot this. If someone wants to screenshot this, and so you guys have it. Like this is kind of your storytelling kind of worksheet thing that you will build out every single time. So anytime I share a story, I'm working on this kind of worksheet rather than the Superman kind of diagram, because this is kind of, kind of a workable thing. So with this, you already got your power lesson. You got the questions that you answered. Great. Set the mood of the story. State the problem, why it's a problem. What is the specific aha moment that changed it all? And then what's the solution? So here are some questions for you to answer for the scene. Okay. So when we build this out, I'm going to give you some time to answer these questions. The questions you answer for the scene is, number one, describe your life right before you decided to become a coach. So for me, before I decided to become a coach, I was coming up to 10 years as an optometrist, and that's when I realized I could not do this for another 10 years. It kind of just hit me. Holy crap, 10 years as an optom. Whoa. That was my life. Things were good, earning a respectable income, respectable job, parents were happy, but I was not. So that's kind of like the scene. The question you want to answer for the struggle is, what problems did you have and why? So when you decided to become a coach, what problems did you have and why? But when I decided to become a coach, I had no idea on how to coach. I was not experienced. I felt like a massive imposter. Penny was pregnant with our second child. I was the sole income bearer. And my parents would have flipped out. Because culturally, in our culture, you don't become a coach. You become a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, solicitor. So now I'm stating the problem and why it's a problem. You can see this, right? Cool, good. And then I need to answer the question. But what made me decide to take the risk anyway? But despite all those problems, despite my parents thinking I've gone mad, despite my father-in-law who would not approve, despite my cultural upbringing, despite Penny being pregnant with our second child and me this sole infant, the reason why I decided to become a coach and the risk was this aha moment I had. What was the aha moment for you? For me, the aha moment was I realized what was worse than living my current life and becoming a coach was living my current life for another 10 years, because when I ticked that box on registration day of being an optometrist, I didn't want to tick that box again. It had come up to 10 years. That was like the switch for me. Because in optometry, you have to register with this board called APRA, and on that, you have to state, your credentials again. You have to redo your working with children certificate, make sure that you're safe to work with children. They check your criminal record, all that, do all this stuff to be registered as an optometrist. And on one of those questionnaires, they state how long do you want to be an optometrist for? How long do you plan to be an optometrist for? Less than a year, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 years plus. And from day one as an optometrist, I always tick the 3 to 5 years. I only plan to be an optometrist 3 to 5 years. And after that, I'm going to figure out what I really want to do, because I did it for my parents. But the moment I ticked that box again for 10 years straight, that was the day when I thought I cannot do this anymore. So the aha moment for me to switch into coaching was when I ticked that box for 10 years straight. Who's following this right now? So there was even despite all the problems that you were facing of transition to become a coach, there was something that made you do it. There's something that made you take the risk. For me, I just did not want to tick that box again because 10 years was too much. Is this all making sense? Show of hands. So for you, figure out what that switch was. What were the aha moment? Despite all the problems you were facing at the time, what made you decide to take a risk? What was that aha moment that turned it all around? Or maybe your friend bought you a ticket to Tony Robbins and said, oh my gosh, I need to do this now. And then from doing that and making that decision, where are you now? What's changed? What's different about you? I can guarantee your identity is different. You're probably more fulfilled. You're probably growing as a person. You'd be more courageous. Maybe you realize that, it's not as bad as you thought it was, whatever it is, but what's changed now? What's different? And at the end, you share this story because of the power lesson. Let's pause. I'm going to open the floor for a couple of questions. And if you can, type in your questions in the chat screen too, just so we can answer as many questions as possible. But I'm going to open the floor for some questions on this, because I'm going to give you some time to do this, to answer these questions. I'm going to give you some time to answer these questions. Make sure you guys are clear on how to answer these questions, which is what we're about to do now. Make sure you guys are clear. So anyone stuck, anyone confused on what we're about to do, anyone's like, oh my gosh, can you explain that again? Or I'm a little bit lost here, whatever it is. So this is your opportunity.
Very cool, mate. Got a question in the chat from Alex Gaffner. Says, what should we do if we are unsure what would be the best story?
Yeah,
Alex.
Good. This is a great question, Alex. So how would you know, or if you like, Alex has got maybe multiple stories, which one's the best story? Well, my guess is don't go out there and do 10 pro bonos with elderly patients. Take on a few, like Scott Harris said, and then you'll know, because action precedes clarity all the time. So the way you know that it's the best story is just to share it and give yourself feedback and say, yeah, actually, that was a really good story. Or maybe next time I tell that story, I'm going to share the other version of that story. Who's following this right now? Now, if I was to run this event again, if I was to run it again in a year's time, am I going to be sharing the exact same stories as I did every story of this event? Probably not. Why? Because I realized there's a better story out there. Who's following this right now? But for now, it's good for now. It's good for now. So how do you know it's the best story? Because it's the one you have now. Who's getting this right now? So that's okay. And that's okay, because it doesn't matter, because the framework works. It doesn't matter because the framework works. You know what I mean? So great question. Anything else, TK?
Yeah, Gillian just wants to get some clarity on who is our audience, story for coaches or story for our current niche?
Yeah, we're going to go into a breakout room, and you're going to be within the breakout room with 5 or 6 other people. You may be, oh, wow. Whoa, Victor, good to see you in the breakout room. Nat, good to see you. Lisa, wow, I'm in the breakout with Christy. Oh my gosh, I'm in the breakout with Luke. Oh, wow. Okay, guys, okay, I'll go first. Cool. Okay, so I want to, I don't know if you guys know why I became a coach, but this is why I became a coach, Luke. This is why I became a coach, Christy. This is why I became a coach, Lisa. This is why I became a coach, Nat. Okay, this is why I became a coach. So it was scene, switch, struggle, switch, solution. And I share that story with you guys because I believe whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve. So are we clear on who we're speaking to? You're speaking to some peers in the group right now. Now, you can do the same thing, same framework, but now you're speaking to a cold audience on a webinar or a masterclass or a tiny challenge or a Facebook Live, or you're doing guest speaking for someone else. Boom, same thing. Who's in the room? So we're going to be speaking to our breakout room today. That's who we're speaking to. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Cool. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, really cool, mate. We've got I hope I pronounce your name okay. I want to say Silky. You're just that pro coach with us, and Chris nailed your name, and now all the pressure's on me. But we've got a great question here, which is, if the switch moment is too personal, do I make another moment, or do I just choose one that's not as profound? Or, and I think this is going to be a big one for a lot of people in the room right now, because maybe your story, maybe it involves a family member. Maybe it involves a friend. Maybe it involves something that's very personal and very dear to you. And maybe you're a little unsure. Do I really want that out in public? Like, where am I going to share this story? So it might be nice to be able to speak to that a little.
Good. Well, it's optional whether you want to share or not, but what's most important is you focus on the room. That word personal means self. And the art of storytelling, the art of speaking is, who am I speaking to and what do I want them to get out of this? And you may not even need to share that for them to get the same outcome, or it doesn't even matter. Is this all making sense? Right? And I totally get that some things are sensitive information. Some of you may be going through a legal battle right now and you're not allowed to share some parts of things like that. And that's okay. I mean, there are things in my life that I would never, ever, 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 ever share that I've experienced as a child, ever share. And I'll say that, and I know I would never do it. But I know if I was to share the point of that story, I can share it in a way where it's going to achieve the same outcome through the same framework without sharing that specific detail. Because that, no one needs to know about it. But I can still get the same outcome. Who's following this right now? Right? No one needs to know about that. No one. And it's not because I'm not choosing not to heal myself or that I don't accept my reality, whatever it is. It's, if you're sharing a story with kids, you don't share them everything. Kids don't need to know the details of certain things to have the same impact of why you're sharing a story to your child. That would be weird if well, this is what actually happened. You share them all the details, and you're like, your child's like, why'd you share me that for? It's just because you're focusing on yourself right now. So if you see, it's like this, if you see them as like, okay, if like they're just like my children, and that I need to know that, that's okay. What's most important is I share this lesson here with them from that point of view, and that's all that matters. And they got the lesson, they got it. That's fine. They don't need to know the details. It's just you believing that they need to know that thing for them to get the same lesson when it's not true. Is this all landing for everyone here? So if that's the case, you've got some sensitive information. That's cool. We all do. We'll have things that we would or maybe or shouldn't even share, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean you have to share it to get the same outcome. And you don't feel the pressure to share it. That's completely okay. Just imagine you were sharing that story to your child where they didn't have to know certain things to achieve the same outcome. Cool. Anything else, TK?
Mate, I think we are all good in the chat, and I love the way that you've explained that as well. Everybody else sort of feel like a bit of a sense of relief when it comes to your story now as well. Yeah, really cool. I think we're good to go into some questions.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to put this up here, and we'll give you guys. I think we'll give you guys at least 10 minutes because there's quite a few questions there. We'll check in at 10-minute mark. Like if you're done, just type in the chat screen done. Just kind of we gauge where you guys are at, whether you need more time or not. And then we'll put a countdown timer on as well. If we could get a countdown timer, that'd be cool for 10 minutes. And we'll come back after 10 minutes time. All right, that should be more than enough time. Who's got something on paper? Who's got something on? Yes, 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 yes. Give it up for you guys for having something on paper. Who's starting to think, oh my gosh, this first pancake is starting to look pretty good, actually. Who's thinking, oh wow, this first pancake. And maybe as you go back through the story too, it's some self-reflection and clarity on, oh, okay, that's why I shared it. And quite often, even though we're sharing that story to the room, it also allows us to reshare it to ourselves. Who's getting this right now? It's like, wow, sometimes we need our own lesson, even though the story is not really meant for us, but secretly it kind of is. And so that's really cool for you guys to get clarity on that and to remind yourself as to why you became a coach. Because this is all important, because this is all going to be built on when you share this, it's like, it's going to be part of your origin story. I mean, that's kind of the premise of it. And every single person that you sign up, it's important for them to know why you did this and the power lesson that you want them to achieve from that too. So we're going to build this up even more, and I'm going to give you what we call, actually, I'll let you watch this video and I want you to notice why it's so good. And I don't know, some of you will pick it up, some of you won't, right? And why it's so smooth, and why it just, think about why this is so good, why this is so good. So in my spare time, I either watch YouTube podcasts, like educational podcasts on something educational, or if I'm looking for entertainment and I'm in the mood to learn, then I watch pranks. Like I just love watching pranks. Anyone like me, like just funny pranks? And so I stumbled across this guy who's an expert pianist, and he does this prank to the public where he has this piano out on the street, and he's in LA, and there's a sign saying, "Play me." And so, you know, amateur pianists come up and they're like, oh, they play, and he butts in, and he pretends to be like a cleaner, pretends to do this, and you know, he says, "Oh, can I jump in?" And they get a bit offended. They're like, "But I just got here," you know what I mean? So, and then he starts playing really badly, and then he breaks out and plays really good, and they're like, "What?" So that's kind of the video I want to show you. But as you watch that, obviously be entertained, but also kind of in the background notice why he's so good. Why? So just watch this.
Hey, mind if I give it a shot? Yeah, I got 10 minutes to my next shift on the 101. My nephew's been teaching me a little bit. He taught me one song. It was, Hey, mind if I give it a shot? Yeah, I got 10 minutes to my next shift on the 101. My nephew taught me one song on this thing. It was,
All right. So I wonder if you noticed why that was so good. Apart from his talent, like he's so talented, but why was that so good? And just, what do we got in the chat screen, TK?
Mate, what have we got in the chat screen? Christy has here the pancake at the start. Okay, yeah, I like this. I like this. We've got the surprise factor, the switch, the unexpected talent. Luke says the setup. Absolutely. JJ says the surprise. Vicky says that looks are deceiving. The surprise, the surprise. Okay, really cool.
Okay, good. So, watch it again. And yes, the surprise is good. Yes, they're talented. Yes, they're pancake. But notice when he plays the songs, so he plays like one song, and then he goes to another song, and then he goes to another song. Like, notice how he's playing different songs. You notice that? But the reason why it's so good is because his transition from one song to the other is so smooth. Before you know it, it's like, oh my gosh, where did this song come from? We call them joiners. And so you have the framework of the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution, the significance, and they're great. But what makes a story even greater is the joiners between each segment and person listening to the story saying, oh my gosh, we're already at the significance of the story. What? How did that happen? Or, oh my gosh, the aha moment. Rather than feeling like the story is jagged, he didn't stop between songs and then play another song. He joined them so seamlessly, and next minute you're like, what? This is amazing. Who's following this right now? So I'm going to give you joiners to join the scene, the switch, the solution, the scene, the struggle, the switch, the solution, the significance, to help you share your story in a seamless manner. Who would be up for having some joiners here? Now, for those joiners, I'm going to share with you this video one more time so you can see the smooth transition. So watch this again and notice the joiners. It is so smooth, and that's why it's so good.
hey, mind if I give it a shot? Yeah, I got 10 minutes to my next shift on the 101. My nephew's been teaching me a little bit. He taught me one song. It was, hey, mind if I give it a shot? Yeah, I got 10 minutes to my next shift on the 101. My nephew taught me one song on this thing. It was,
guys notice that now? The joiners? It's like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like you could listen to that all day long. It's just wow, 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 wow. So I'm going to give you what I call some hero joiners, just to make it seamless. And these are just some suggestions. Now, as I was preparing this event, I was like, wow, there's so many joiners you could use. Like there's 100 ways to make it seamless. And so these are some suggestions which I think will be a great starting point. But some of you are naturally okay with just joining things. And if you're naturally good at that, just use what you have, because you can just make it sound seamless anyway, and you can just join from one framework to the other, from the scene to this struggle to the switch. Like if you're cool with doing that, you do you have your own joiner and what comes natural to you. But if you're like really stuck and you're like, you have no idea and you're sort of like, oh, just give me something to use, I'm going to give you something to use, knowing that this is not the Bible, but this is just a guideline if you're super stuck. So who's okay with more of a guideline rather than like a Bible? Cool. So, but if some of you are already good at doing this, so that's okay. You don't have to use this suggestion. This is just some suggestion for people who may be getting a little bit stuck and their story is a bit jagged and it's the transition not smooth. So here are the hero joiners, okay? And you'll notice, particularly our P1s, if you were to watch this training again on the replay, I start with these joiners. Almost every story has something like this. So last week, and then I set the mood. So it was only a couple of months ago in Boise, I was at Russell Brunson's mastermind. So during COVID, I made this commitment to write a story every single week. So 2 weeks ago, I was on a private jet with my Golden, and this happened. Thumbs up if that's clear. Like that's how you start. And then you set the tone, you set the scene, and you already got your scene. You already got your scene, which you created, which is great for where it is right now. Cool. And how you transition into the struggle is.
All right, how's that for an open loop? And so, hey, listen, if you're looking to get the joiners for this and you found this training super valuable, all you need to do is send me a DM on Facebook and DM me the word joiners. Let me see if I can share my screen so you know what to DM me. Here we go. So there you go. So if you just DM me joiners, and this is my Facebook profile, I've got the blue tick there, or if you scan this QR code here, it'll take you directly to my Facebook profile. DM me the word joiners and I'll give you the 5 joiners that will allow you to create any story, including your origin story, with a seamless transition. Listen, if this was super valuable for you, don't forget to subscribe and give this a like as well. And also, you can also look at my next video here on how to run tiny challenges.